Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? Today we're going to unlock some serious language skills.
Yeah,
And today we're focusing on something called suprasegmental features.
that's right.
They're like the secret sauce of clear communication. And we have this awesome guide here to help us understand how to really master them.
It's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. I'm excited.
Me too.
So first up is stress.
Okay, so
I know. We've all heard of stress, but
right. This guide points out that it isn't just about speaking loudly.
Right.
It's about which syllable in a word we actually emphasize.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. For example, let's take the word present.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Because like if I say percent, it means a gift, right?
Exactly.
But if I say percent, it means to show something.
Yes.
Like just changing the stress totally changes the meaning.
Exactly. And that's why stress is so important for clarity, especially for English learners.
That makes sense.
Yeah, if you put the stress on the wrong syllable, people might misunderstand you.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do we know which syllable to stress? Are there rules for this?
Well, English can be a bit tricky sometimes. There
Yeah.
aren't always, hard and fast rules.
Yeah.
But this guide gives some good tips on how to train your ear to hear the stress patterns.
Okay, what kind of tips, I'm all ears?
Well, one thing is to just listen to native speakers
Okay.
as much as possible.
Yeah.
Music, movies, podcasts.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, anything goes.
Yeah.
Just pay attention to which syllables they're emphasizing and try to imitate.
So really tune in and try to mimic the sound.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you can also use online dictionaries.
Oh, right.
They often have audio pronunciations that'll show you the correct stress.
That's handy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a handle now on stressing individual words.
Right.
But what about stress in a whole sentence?
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
matter too?
It absolutely does. This guide calls it sentence stress.
Okay.
And it's all about highlighting the most important information.
Okay.
So think about the difference between I called him yesterday and I didn't call him.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right.
The meaning is totally different.
Yeah.
In the first one, you're emphasizing who you called.
Right.
And in the second one, you're emphasizing that you didn't call him.
Exactly. And this guide points out that this is something we naturally do in our own languages.
Right.
So think about how you emphasize words in your native language
Yeah.
to kind of change the meaning or the feeling of a sentence.
That's true. It's stress is this universal way of adding emphasis and meaning
It is, yeah.
to what we're saying.
Absolutely. And just being aware of this can really help you sound more natural and fluent in English.
Okay? I like it.
Yeah.
So we've tackled stress.
Okay.
This guide also mentioned something called rhythm.
Yes.
What's that all about?
So rhythm is all about the flow of our speech,
Okay.
how we combine the stressed and the unstressed syllables.
Uh-huh.
And this guide explains that English has what's called a stress-timed rhythm.
Stress-timed rhythm. What does that even mean?
It means that some words in a sentence are stressed,
Okay.
like the beat of a drum. And we
Okay.
kind of rush through the unstressed words to fit them in.
So it's not about each syllable having the same length like maybe in some Indian languages.
Right.
It's more about creating a pattern with the stressed words.
Exactly. It's like a dance between the stressed and unstressed syllables.
I'm starting to get it. But would that make it hard for someone who's used to a different kind of rhythm?
It can be, yeah.
Yeah?
Especially for learners from India,
Okay.
where many languages have what's called a syllable-timed rhythm.
Right. So it's like the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But the guide has some really great tips on how to adjust to that stress-timed rhythm of English.
Okay. Now I'm really intrigued. What kind of tips?
Well, one thing it suggests is to practice listening for those stressed words.
Okay.
In English sentences and try to tap your foot to the beat like you're listening to music.
Okay.
Yeah, it might sound a little strange,
Yep.
but it can help you get a feel for the rhythm.
I like that. It's all about training your ear to hear the music of the language.
Exactly. And once you start to get a feel for the rhythm,
Yeah.
you can practice imitating it.
Oh, okay.
Try mimicking the way native speakers pronounce phrases or sentences.
Yeah, that shadowing technique, I've heard, is super helpful for getting the pronunciation down.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, shadowing can really help you internalize that rhythm and the intonation patterns.
Awesome. Okay, so we've covered stress, we've covered rhythm.
Uh-huh.
What's next on our suprasegmental adventure?
Next up is something called intonation.
Intonation.
And it's all about how our voice rises and falls when we speak.
Okay.
Think of it like the melody of a song.
Intonation is the melody of our speech. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does that work in English?
Right.
Are there different types of melodies?
This guide explains that there's 3 main types of intonation in English:
Okay.
rising, falling, and fall rise.
Okay.
Each one conveys a different meaning or feeling.
Okay, I need an example. Give me an example. I need to hear this in action.
Okay, sure. Think about the difference between "are you coming" and "where are you going?"
Okay.
In the first one, your voice rises at the end
Okay.
because it's a question.
Uh-huh.
But in the second one, your voice falls because it's a statement.
Wow. That's such a subtle difference,
Yeah,
but it completely changes the meaning.
right.
So rising intonation for questions, falling intonation for statements.
Yes.
Got it. What about that fall rise one? What does that sound like?
Fall rise intonation's a little more complex.
Okay.
But it's really interesting.
Okay.
It's where your voice falls and then rises again within a sentence or a phrase.
Uh-huh.
And it's often used to express like uncertainty or hesitation or even politeness.
Ooh, I like that. It's like you're adding a little extra layer of meaning to
Yeah.
your words just with your voice.
Exactly.
Can you give me an example of what that sounds like?
Of course. Imagine you're not sure about something.
Okay.
And someone asks you about it. You might say something like, well, I'm not sure.
Uh-huh.
With that fall rise intonation, it kind of shows that you're hesitant or uncertain.
Okay, I'm totally getting a hang of this.
Good.
And, this guide emphasizes that these features are really important for English learners.
Absolutely.
Why is that?
Well, for one thing, intonation can be very different across languages.
Oh, that's true.
So the way you use intonation in your native language might not be appropriate
Right.
for English.
Yeah.
And if you use the wrong intonation, it can lead to misunderstandings.
Oh, no.
Or even make you sound rude.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So it's not just about getting the words right.
Right.
It's about using the right intonation to actually convey the right meaning.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah, and the guide has some great tips on how to practice and improve your intonation.
Oh, good. Okay. I'm excited to hear those tips. What are they?
Well, one thing it suggests is to record yourself speaking English
Okay.
and then listen back to it, paying attention to your intonation patterns.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to hear yourself objectively when you're just talking.
Right.
But then when you record yourself, you can really analyze what's going on.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
And another tip the guide gives is to listen to and imitate native speakers.
Oh, right.
Pay attention to how their voices rise and fall.
Yeah.
And try to mimic those patterns.
It's all about being a language detective.
Yes.
Listening closely and then try to replicate those sounds.
Exactly. And this guide emphasizes that it takes time and practice
Of course.
to master intonation in English.
Yeah.
So don't get discouraged if you don't sound perfect right away.
That's so important to remember. Learning a new language is a journey, not a sprint.
Absolutely.
Right. But with practice and patience, we can all get there.
We can.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling more and more confident about this.
Good.
We've covered stress. We've covered rhythm. We've covered intonation. What's the last suprasegmental feature we need to tackle?
Last but not least, we have pitch.
Pitch. I think
Yeah.
of pitch as like how high or low our voice is.
Right.
Like singing high notes or low notes.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with speaking?
It might seem surprising, but pitch plays a huge role in how we convey meaning and emotion in our speech.
Really?
Yeah. Think about how you might say, really, with a high pitch
Okay.
to express surprise, or yes, I heard it, with a low pitch to kind of convey seriousness or maybe even a little annoyance.
Wow, that's so true. The pitch completely changes the feeling of those phrases.
It does.
So it's not just about hitting the right notes.
Right.
It's about using the right pitch to express the right emotion.
Exactly.
Okay. And I bet this is where things can get tricky for English learners.
It can, yeah.
Yeah.
The way we use pitch in English might be very different from
Yeah.
how it's used in other languages.
Right.
And using the wrong pitch can sometimes lead to misunderstandings.
Oh, no.
Or even make you sound insincere.
Oh, I see the challenge.
Yeah.
So what can we do to master pitch in English?
Well, the guide recommends a few things. First, it's important to become aware of how pitch is used
Okay.
in English. You can do this by listening to native speakers
Right.
and paying attention to how their voices rise and fall
Okay.
to express different emotions.
So it's back to our language detective work.
It is.
Listening carefully and taking notes.
Exactly. And then once you have a better understanding of how pitch works,
Uh-huh.
you can start practicing using it yourself.
Okay.
You can try mimicking the pitch patterns you hear from native speakers,
Okay.
or even experiment with the different pitches to see how they change the meaning of your words.
I love that. It's like we're adding another layer of expression
Yes.
to our speech,
Uh-huh.
using our voices to really convey our emotions and intentions.
You've got it. And, one thing that really stood out to me in this guide is that mastering these suprasegmental features
Yeah.
isn't just about sounding more native-like.
Okay.
It's about unlocking the true power of your voice.
I love that. It's about expressing yourself fully and authentically,
Exactly.
using all the tools at your disposal.
Yes, and when you master these features,
Yeah.
you'll be able to connect with people on a deeper level,
Right.
regardless of your accent or background.
Well, I'm definitely feeling motivated to keep practicing.
You good?
I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have?
Stress, rhythm, intonation, pitch.
Yeah.
And I'm already starting to see how these features can make a huge difference
Yeah.
in how we understand and are understood.
Absolutely.
And, this guide makes a good point that even native English speakers
Yes.
can benefit from understanding these features
Totally.
and consciously using them.
It's true. We can all become more effective communicators by refining these skills.
So whether you're a seasoned speaker
Right.
or just starting your English learning journey,
Yeah.
paying attention to these suprasegmental features can make a world of difference.
It can.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap up part 1
Okay.
of our deep dive into suprasegmental features. We've learned a lot,
Yes, we have.
and I'm excited to keep exploring these ideas in the next part.
Me too.
So stay tuned. We'll be back with more tips and insights on how to master the music of English pronunciation.